going to spend the holidays with your grandparents?
We don't even know them.
I'm just thinking about what's best for you.
Hey guys, welcome to What the Flick. Ben Mankiewicz, Matt Atchity, Alonzo Duralde couldn't be with us. He is stuck in Barack Obama traffic in Los Angeles.
Thanks, Obama.
Yeah, way to go.
Which is tough because he's seen the movies and you haven't.
Yeah, so it's going to put us in a little bit of a bind here. I was going to sit in for the review we're going to have now of Black Nativity. Alonzo saw it and Matt saw it, but as we said, Alonzo's not here. His chair
And Ben didn't go see it
sits
because
empty.
he hates Christmas and he hates black people.
Oh no!
All right,
I'm talking. That's crazy. I love Christmas.
All right, so Black Nativity is loosely based on the play by Langston Hughes, or at least that's the inspiration for the story. There's a surrounding story about a kid named Langston, named for the poet, who gets shuttled off from Baltimore, where he lives with a single mom, to go live with his grandparents at Christmas time in New York because they don't have any money in Baltimore and he needs to go someplace where he's not going to get kicked out on the street. Meanwhile, his grandfather, who is a preacher, is putting on his annual Black Nativity show at the church and drama ensues. Let's watch the trailer.
I'll see you in church.
Tonight? You tripping.
As for me and my house, we are going to church. Today, we are mindful of the needs of this youth, be he in need of guidance or simply a belt to hold his loose-fitting pants up. Amen.
Amen.
A very good cast.
Yes. Yeah.
And they're good, right?
Yeah, everybody's pretty good in this. Everybody's pretty good.
Forrest Whitaker, Angela Bassett.
And Jennifer Hudson,
right.
Tyrese Gibson.
What about like Mary J. Blige?
Mary J. Blige is in this, yeah.
And there's
With very, very white hair.
and there's music.
And it is a musical.
It's a musical.
Yes.
It's a key
It's a
element,
musical. I don't know that the music works that well. I think that the story, this would, weirdly be a better movie if the musical numbers weren't put in here. I think that the music is the weak spot.
I can say that about so many movies.
Yes, I think that's the case. But I felt like the drama of this story about there's been a falling out in the past between Jennifer Hudson's character and especially her father, played by Forrest Whitaker, and they haven't spoken in 15 years. And she was pregnant. She goes off with her son to live in Baltimore, and you find out, whether or not they're going to actually be able to reconcile. This movie doesn't go in the obvious directions about whether or not the family's going to reconcile. I think it does some interesting things, and mistakes are made on all sides, which I think is true to the way family arguments go. Right? Like a lot of times in a movie, you'll see one person who plays the role of the prodigal son who's the jerk that goes off, and everybody else in the family is like loving, like, oh, come back. We're just so happy you're back. This one, like, everybody's kind of a jerk, or at least 15 years ago, everybody made mistakes. And I think that the movie does a good job of playing the reality of that, but God, the songs are kind of rough. Like, I don't think they're bad. They just don't add much to it. At least didn't for me.
Are the songs like, is it like Chicago, where the songs take place inside her head, which I liked, which made it dealable for me? Or is it part of the story? Do they break out in song, or is it just like songs that are there as part of the rehearsal for the show?
It's kind of both.
Yeah.
It's kind of both. I think that you're supposed to think that they're mostly in the kid's head, Langston's head. And that's the way the movie mostly plays it. Like there's one part where, it's Christmas Eve, he's listening to the sermon, they're putting on the Black Nativity at the church that Whitaker is the pastor of, and the kid dozes off, and he has this long extended dream sequence that's a bunch of musical numbers, or 2 or 3 musical numbers. And so it kind of feeds into what you're talking about, where it's like it's all in somebody's head. There's a bit of that here, but not that much. It goes back and forth. So the tone is kind of all over the place. And again, I think the songs are executed okay. They're just not great. They're not show-stopping numbers. They've got kind of a tragic and kind of subdued level of energy, and they're all kind of like that. Like there's no big numbers that really get you up and get you going.
Just directed by Casey Lemons, Karen Lemons, who I did Talk to Me.
Yes. It's a great movie.
It's a really good movie, yeah. She played Ardelia Mapp Jodie Foster's friend
right.
in Silence of the Lambs,
Yes.
the other agent. She didn't have a
Yes.
big part in Silence of the Lambs, but she's sort of there throughout.
Well, she directed Eve's Bayou.
Right. She
Yeah.
directed East Bayou too. Yeah, but I didn't put it together that was she. And that for whatever reason that role is even though she's not a big part of Silence of the Lambs, that's who Clarice sort of bounces ideas off throughout the movie. She's there throughout, and so I was super pleased by this. That's who that is.
This isn't a terrible movie. It's just I think it's not as again, I think that turning this into a musical somewhat dials down what its potential is. I think that outside of that, I think that the family, the efforts towards reconciling this family and looking at a family dynamic where clear, as I said before, mistakes are made on all sides. That's interesting. And I think they do that really well, but I think that the songs kind of pull the story back a little bit. But, by the same token, you get a really good, it's kind of out of nowhere, but Tyrese Gibson does a really good recitation of the Dream Deferred poem.
He does.
Yeah, it's great.
All right.
It's great. So there's some really nice little moments in here. I mean, ultimately, I wouldn't say that this is a genius movie, but it's not terrible. I'd give it probably about a 6.
I also give it a 6.
For not seeing it.
Do you think that Casey Lemons and Jodie Foster are friends? Like they're in that movie. They're both directors now. Like they
You
should
think
be.
that they call each other and
They should be
bounce off
buddies.
like-
Yeah, they should be going once a month. They got to have lunch.
Maybe.
I'd like to think they are.
Okay.
All right, so that's a 6, obviously, for Black Nativity.